health nurse, so I understand what you're saying.
Oh man, now I'm embarrassed.
No, you're fine.
Oh well,
Yeah,
thank
so
you
I
for
totally
that.
understand. Yes, but that's
Yeah,
good.
it's,
You're doing what you're doing because that is part of treatment. Is doing what you do, doing meaningful things.
The treatment for me has been, again, this has been the treatment, and my wife has been a blessing to me in that, allowing me to. I'm sure you get this dealing with what you deal with, but for the majority of my life, it was always you have to keep it quiet. You can't let anybody know. This is because you sound like a crazy person. So it was always a struggle with myself, and then back away from everyone so that they don't know what's happening, and it became very lonely and difficult. So now to be able to just the best way to put it is like 2 days ago, there was a huge line here, and I had a freak out, and I was able to go sit, and my wife's like, "It's okay, just freak out. Nobody's going to say anything." And so I had my little moment. It calms down, and we're good to go. Where before, it was like you had to suppress it, and then it would come out the wrong way, and so.
Well, your artwork is fantastic. It's amazing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Love it.
And
That means everything.
It's amazing that artwork is so therapeutic.
Oh yeah.
That's to say the least. For me, the therapy has come in seeing what it means to other people.
Yes.
Just as you heard me say to people before,
Yes.
you put a little bit of yourself and you put a little bit of your heart into things, and to see people take those and treat them kindly is weirdly treating
Have other people enjoy what you do. Is very cool.
Right. Well, but like I said, even beyond just the enjoyment, it's the connection to them. It's a weird thing. I've never had that before this, and so for people to connect the way that they do, they're connecting to a part of you in a weird way, and there's this really lovely moments that come from that. These exchanges and being able to talk to people like yourself. So just super thankful. So
Form of healing. That's great.
I have a question. So
Yes, sir.
when you're working on the art with the cookie connections,
Yes.
So like, do you come up with like the connection for the art that connects to the cookie, like when it's like the lemon-based cookie,
So-
the character's lemon-based? How does that work?
Typically the way that kind of comes together is it kind of depends. Like sometimes it'll just be, hey, we're thinking we might want to do this flavor thing. Do you have any ideas? Or other times they'll come to me and say, hey, what do you think of this? The beautiful part is that it is always collaborative. It's never we want you to do this, because that gets real restrictive and real difficult and stuff like that.
As an artist.
It's always a back and forth. And so usually the way that it'll work is we're thinking, and then I'll come up with something that kind of takes that and maybe offers something they might have thought of, not thought of, but in the same realm or just a different way. And then there'll be a little bit of a back and forth on it too. And typically the stories will come up in that same time frame. So while the character's being drawn, the story starts to be built, and then we'll go back and forth and kind of hone that story in a little bit. And then, so it's a real nice back and forth. Steve and I, we've been friends for years, so there's a good.
We were lucky enough to meet him, and he's really cool guy.
You met, right? So you know, right? That's what I'm saying. But what I mean is, like, you meet him and you know him, like that.
Yes.
Very personable.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I can see why the two of you would be friends.
we're very similar souls when it comes to, we both hate ourselves, but we love everyone else.
Right.
And so the way that you feel better about yourself is to treat everyone else the way that they deserve. It helps you feel better about life, and we bonded over that a long time ago. That and a love of Edward Gorey's artwork was it caused us to be
He had
friends
told it like a
immediately.
similar story. Like he had mentioned, like he doesn't have a lot of the memorabilia from the story. He's like, I didn't keep a lot of stuff.
Right.
Like he was self-conscious about stuff. He doesn't like think they're good enough, so he didn't keep a lot of the stuff. Which is similar to like what you were saying. You didn't think the art you had was good enough, so you didn't want to show it off. Similar to
he talked me into it. It's very simple. The artwork was never shown prior to Gideon. Actually, partly true. There was an art show I had done where I put a couple of the pieces out, and I clammed up after doing the event, and I was like, we're not doing that again. We're putting these away, because it was just a weird.
It's scary to
the
show
minute
off
they're out
stuff.
there. Yeah, for sure. And I had done other types of artwork. I had done this stuff called Terribly Odd.
Yes.
And that's how Steve and I met. I had my first solo show at his gallery in 2006. And that's how we kind of bonded over like graphic design work and all that sort of stuff. So I started working with him then. And that's how we kind of developed, the whole Gideon's thing kind of just naturally came together through conversations and through some design stuff and things like that. So very, very similar as far as our
That's cool.
our approach and our admiration for certain kinds of things. So it just sort of came the same direction, but same story, when he says things about like not good enough and stuff, we constantly fight. We never feel like anything's good enough. It's like, this, I don't know about that one. Okay, what about this? No. Like, it's funny because he'll bicker with me about the same things I'll tell him. I'm like, you just gotta learn to accept it. He's like, no, you've gotta learn to. So it's a funny back.
I know I have a degree in graphic design, so I went to school for it. So I know how you everything and everything's done. It's not good enough. It's not right.
Graphic design. So for me, the graphic design thing started just what you were saying is like the artwork, the pencil drawn stuff. I felt like this is never gonna go the right direction. I ended up leaving art school. Anxiety. I just couldn't handle the whole process. So I ended up getting into graphic design as a way to try and do something creatively. And ultimately that's what gave birth. It sounds so corny, but that's what gave birth to Terribly Odd, was taking the drawings, the pencil drawings, and just digitizing them.
Right.
And cleaning them up and creating something that was less emotional and less from my heart and more about stuff that I watched growing up. Things that were easy for people to communicate with, that, okay, you like this, I like that, we might get along. And that's what it became about. It was less personal, but a way to bridge certain gaps and allow me to do something creatively. And ultimately, it's how I met Steve, so it paid off, I guess, in the long run.
Yeah.
And eventually it opened the door to do this, which is what I was hoping to do from the beginning. I just didn't have the courage to do
It's
so.
awesome what you
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you,
I
guys.
guess much more of your time.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Can we make
Oh, no, come right in. Did I give you guys some of the videos?
No,
No,
good. That'd be great.
Here you go, guys.
Thank you so
grab it.
much.
I like your hoodie. It's adorable.
If you enjoyed that video, why not throw Dad a good old like and subscribe and do the notification thing? Or leave me a comment about what your favorite part of this video was. That would really help Dad out. And you can go check out one of these other videos. I'm sure they're fantastic. I mean, I made them, so I'm pretty sure they're fantastic. All right. Yeah, do that stuff.